Welcome to News with a View, hosted by me, John A. Costa. This is a conservative-leaning podcast, but I do take facts from both sides of the aisle to draw my conclusion on whether or not I think it's the right thing or wrong thing. And I will call out Republicans, I will call out Democrats, even though Bob in New York doesn't think so, that I call out Republicans when they overstep or the administration does something that I think is not allowed in the good book. I apologize, we are having some technical issues here. I don't know what I did. That's a technical issue. Today is August 21st, 2026. This should be episode 88 of my programming. You can look through, go to my live, or go to my videos. I stopped listing these as podcasts because it just became, to me, it's redundant. I don't like how YouTube is doing it, but they let me produce my show, so what can I say? Today, we're going to be speaking on the DSA and how they're being now called out by the media over their left-wing stances and comments that they have made in the past, and now it's payment time. So a co-chair of the Democratic Socialists of America, DSA, floundered on CNN the other day when confronted over left-wing group support of Fidel Castro. So Sadiq was challenged by anchor Boris Sanchez of CNN after making a statement last week commemorating the Cuban dictator's 100th birthday, calling him a stalwart symbol of the anti-imperialist struggle. Now, it's interesting because Ashik Siddiq, who's co-chair of the DSA party, his grandfather fought for Fidel Castro and overthrew the Bastista regime, and then started speaking out about, what was starting to happen in Cuba under Fidel Castro, and this bastion of anti-imperialist struggle and democracy that Fidel Castro was about locked up the grandfather after, being part of the revolution. And this idiot, Sadiq, Siddique, Sadiq, was supporting him. Now, the family, of course, fled to America because democracy was so great and the imperialistic ideas of America were so horrible that the family decided to move here and settle here. Now, see, this is a contradiction. This is the contradiction that the DSA, socialists, liberals, Democrats have to be called out on. They have to be called out on these things. It just doesn't make sense. Makes absolutely no connected sense. The CNN interview where Boris Sanchez said, how do you think this lands with the people who suffered under the dictatorship, who now we're trying to court as voters when your organization comes out and lauds 100 years of Castro? You celebrated Castro's birthday, yet you're asking the Cuban people to vote for a socialist communist. How do you think that works out? How do you think that looks? Well, Sadiq clearly appeared flustered and stammered through his response, which he then pivoted on the DSA's common concerns of income equality in the United States. So now it became part of, we're trying to make income the issue here, right? We want to expand democracy everywhere in the United States. This is a democracy. It doesn't need to be expanded. It's here. The Constitution says how it works, sir. You freaking moron. And so he says, everywhere in the United States, in Cuba, and everywhere else. Sure, go over to Cuba right now and start preaching that. You'll be in the same cell your grandfather was in, you dope. And that's what you want here. Again, pivoting to his own criticisms of the United States government. The government that allowed him to come over here, the government that took them in, the government that gave them a home. He critiques that government. That government hasn't changed. Same Constitution, same rules. So Boris Sanchez from CNN hit back. It goes, and Fidel Castro was a beacon of democracy? And Sadiq admitted that he wouldn't say that about the dictator. Dictator. Elected officials from at least a minimum two-party system. There's like 6 parties here that are really out there, but how about that? How about that, Sadiq, you moron? And any of you Democrats that think that this guy is an anomaly, he's not, under the big tent. He is in your tent. He has taken over your tent. And this is what they're striving for. Boris Sanchez from CNN said, and this was a quote, I would suggest that perhaps we should have a more conversation with folks who have fled that regime and what they think about these statements and the positions of the DSA. Now, this is just another example of the DSA stumbling on the words that they said in the past now being brought back to them because now they're on the ticket. Now they have people that can be influential in our government. And now they don't like being questioned. They're not happy about being questioned. They're not happy about all this coming down on them. They feel that it's an entrapment, that this is unjust and those aren't fair questions, asking them what they have talked about in their past. Isn't that interesting? That this is what they think. I'm looking for to see if there's another quote, and there isn't another quote. But this is what they're thinking. Another DSA co-chair, Megan Romer, was unable to provide a clear answer when asked to define the group's belief that she described as taxing the hell out of millionaires. So you're going to discriminate against a certain class of people, group, right? During a recent interview with David Remnick of the New York Radio Hour podcast posted on August 7th of this year. And when Romer was pushed on her taxing the hell out of millionaires by David Remnick, she said, yeah, again, I don't have like a solid answer, but I think, and then Romer interrupted her and said, but shouldn't you? If you said we're going to tax the hell out of them, shouldn't you have an answer to how you're going to do this and what is your logic behind it? David Remnick questioned whether Romer, as one of the leaders of the DSA, should be more specific than simply saying taxing the hell out of something. And Romer responded, that's a good question. Democrats, what the heck are you doing? What are you doing? I'm telling you, you are handing us, the GOP, a solid win. In states that you might have had a chance of flipping. In Congress and in the Senate. And the people that are now running as in the big tent, you're going to vote for that? You're going to vote for this nonsense? You're going to go in there, hold your nose, and vote for them? These are questions you really have to ask yourself. And you really have to have a presence of mind to say, I can't do that. And I'm not a person who says, stay home, don't vote. Always vote. Always. Never, ever, ever surrender your right to vote. But just vote for someone other than the DSA. If there is a pro-life person, if there's a pro-abortion person, vote for that person. If there's a Green Party member, vote for that person. But never, ever, ever not vote because you're dissatisfied with a particular candidate. I don't believe in doing that. I think it's wrong. I think you should vote. I mean, my great-grandfather fought for that in the Civil War. My grandfather fought for that in World War I. My dad fought for that in World War II and Korea, as did my father-in-law who fought in World War II. So we had those rights to vote. And listen, if you're a member of the DSA, well, there's your candidate. Vote for that. But I'm talking about Democrats, real Democrats. Is that what you want? Is that where you see your party going to? And if you don't agree with that, then either quit the party or tell your party, toss them out. Let them start their own party, just like you guys had to do, just like the Republicans, just like the Whigs. They started their own party. Instead of, again, being invited in and then taking it over. And this is what they do. They're insidious. When David Remick of the New York Radio Hour pressed her again. So again, it's democracy, right? Romer continued. And we have to look at what we have to spend and what we need. We don't want to depend on the existence of millionaires because that means people are still getting exploited. And this is what Romer kept saying when pressed by Remnick. The segment of the interview ended with Romer saying, "So yeah, we need to look at what we need to do, what we need to pay for in the interim, what sort of tax base we need for that to happen, and build from there. We already have a tax system in place." And it goes again to the DSA pushing the idea of them and not you. They're not interested in the Constitution. They're not interested in your rights. How could they be interested in your rights when they were supporting Fidel Castro? You, as Democrats, have to take the helm and go, we're not voting for these people. We're not voting for your people. And people that have supported them, which were other Democrats. They can't be supported. Now, you have some absolutely good Democrats out there that deserve your support, that keep a fiscal conservative idea and a respect for the Constitution and the police department. But I would say that 80% of the Democrats out there jumped on the platform of defunding the police, jumped on the idea of taxing millionaires to hell, and the Democrats are so silly that the tax laws were written by Democrats and Republicans. So the DSA looks at the Democrats as the enemy, as the problem. They, of course, look at the Republicans always as the problem and the enemy, but the Democrats, you're coming under that same look. Do you think for a second that they won't abandon you or just stab you in the back? Why in God's name did you invite them into the tent? To siphon votes away from the Republicans, or there's no logic. Schumer doing whatever he can to hold on, and you know what? He's gone. After November, win or lose, he's gone. And when I say win or lose, he's not up, but he's gonna be out of the Senate. He's not gonna do the Senate. And the same thing with Jeffries in Congress. He's not going to be the minority speaker or the majority speaker if they take it back. But, which I don't think is going to happen. I think they're just out of touch. And now that they have candidates like El Sayed, who are in positions to possibly be, one of 100 in the Senate. Yeah. And talking about LCT, turns out that his biological mother, and I don't know if it's pronounced this way, but Fatin Faith the Elkomi, is also connected to a terrorist organization. The El Sayed relatives, they just seem to walk in through the doors of these organizations. Now, according to a report from the Midwestern, a Michigan-based conservative outlet, we'll give them that, El Sayed's mommy worked for an Islamic American relief agency designated by the United States Treasury Department as a terrorist finance organization between 1999 and 2004. While this organization was supposed to be a charity focused on the usual stuff charities do, healthcare, orphans, displaced persons, disadvantaged persons, in the area of, where wars are taking place or conflict. And the Midwestern, reported on Tuesday it had a sideline this organization in less severe activities. All right, the IARA is identified as a non-government organization, an NGO, formerly affiliated with Maktab al-Khadmat, which was co-founded and financed by Osama bin Laden, and its precursor to the organization of Al-Qaeda. Now, to be fair, the United States had no problem dealing with Osama bin Laden when they were fighting the Russians in Iraq. So, I don't, when you sleep with dogs. So information available to the U.S. indicates that international offices of the IARA provided direct financial support to Osama bin Laden, commingling funds and cooperated closely in the raising and expenditures of funds. And the IARA engaged in a joint program with institutes controlled by Osama bin Laden that was involved in providing assistance to Taliban fighters. So, and again, you had DSA co-chairmen whose relatives fought for Fidel Castro and then were subsequently jailed for making comments about the dictator. Now, the sins of the father and stuff, is that really what I'm not going to get on that because there's enough of that going around. But again, that family came to the United States. Why? because they couldn't get justice where they lived. And now they want to turn this country into what they had. Go back and free your own people. And I understand. Love it, leave it. And I'm if you can't change it, then you leave. Then you leave. And our Constitution is not going to change. Because you want Sharia law here. We're not doing that. The idea, whenever I hear someone speak about, well, with Sharia, you should have the opportunity for Sharia law. Absolutely not. We're one people under one set of rules. That's it. That's it. If not now, you'll set up a caste system. And you go, well, we have a caste system. No. 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 That murdering little puke kid in Texas who's crying for a new trial is proof that we don't have a caste system. He gets to ask for a new trial. Because it is allowed under the rules. That's the difference. Donald Trump got to ask for an appeal because it's allowed. People that are convicted of a crime are allowed to ask for an appeal. And it happens all the time across the board here. One people, one law. So they said that this IARA provided hundreds of thousands of dollars to Obama bin Laden in 1999. So, and this was from a White House correspondent and podcaster, Natalie Winters, noted the organization also has ties to the Taliban and Hamas. So, you can see what's going on with these people. And he can get up and say whatever he wants to say. Oh, the Jewish people were wonderful. Oh, they brought so much to us. Understand they're allowed to lie to us under the greater cause. And they'll go, oh, no, Muslims are not allowed to lie. And then you read the little caveats. All right? And one of them is if you're if you're fighting a war with them, and Islam is fighting a war with everyone who's not Islamic, and even fighting a war against other people of the Islamic faith. I tell you, with Islam, they're either at your feet or at your throat. There's no other mode with them. All right. Swing state Democrats criticize an unpopular institution, their own party. Democrats running in Republican-leaning states are also criticizing another unpopular institution, their own party. In North Carolina, Roy Cooper is stating in paid political ads that he bucked his party to oppose defunding the police while he was governor. And that's what I was talking about, all these Democrats. Defund the police. Defund the police. In Iowa, State Representative Josh Turek debuted an ad this week touting, as they're saying, or pushing tax cuts and gun right bills. Just some more of the 700 times Josh Turek voted with Republicans to look out for Iowans. And former Congresswoman Mary Peltola, who is running in Alaska, pledged in a new ad to take on anyone, including Democrats, who don't understand her state's needs. What the hell does that mean? And there's shenanigans going on there with people having the same name on the ballot that they pushed. They don't get that resource development is about our survival, she said. They don't get that firearms are feeding our families and protecting ourselves, that a secure border keeps all Americans safe. Now they're jumping on that. Wait to hear what she said in 2020, in 2022. This is all going to come back on her, and the states and the people are going to know. The people are going to know that they're all backtracking. And the minute if they get elected, they just go right back to what they said. But this is what I had promised. I said I would do. I want Sharia law. I want to do away with the Supreme Court. I want to abolish the Senate. All right? And these ads reflect the changes the Democrats are facing in retaking the Senate this year. They need to win in at least 5 states that Trump carried in 2024, including at least 2 that were won by double-digit margins. And in Alaska, the person that has the same name as Dan Sullivan. That's who they played. The Democrats put someone on the ballot as like an independent that has the same name as Dan Sullivan, who has a good chance of winning there. So to siphon votes away from him. And that was allowed because you can't stop a person because of their name. But very cleverly done. All right, everyone. I did this for 33 minutes. I'm done. I'm going to put the show out later on today. It is actually almost 12 noon. I have things I have to do. This will go out later this evening. Always can catch any of my shows on the live feed. Unfortunately, it's 24 hours after the fact. I wish I knew why they did that, but that's what they do on the YouTube. But I'll have this show out in a video format and then probably as a playlist also, just to try to do it. And I got a lot of that fixing up to do, but we're on our way of doing that. Please give to a charity if you can. Just make sure it's a bona fide charity. Don't become a victim while you're trying to help victims. That's all I'm saying. Check it out. If you're not comfortable with that, please think about giving to a food bank. They need help. They need food, of course. They also need monetary assistance, and it helps locally, and it's a good thing. And it's almost instantaneous. You do it, it gets done. Very nice. Very nice. Please say a prayer. Prayer does work. It really does. You just have to look and open your eyes up for the response. Miracles happen every day if you just look around. All right, with that, thank you, and we'll catch you later. Bob in New York, if you're still hanging on to my every word, I'll give you a call later on today. All right, everyone, take care, and thank you as I fade to